So the mind is a form that we create. And you might ask yourself, well, damn, Inside 11, damn, Brother 11, I didn't even create my mind. I didn't even want to create a mind like this. Well, let me tell you this. Yes, you created your mind as a co-creator with God. Because whatever you are carrying in your mind, whatever you are carrying in your mind in the form of obstacles, learning opportunities, abilities and things like that, those are all things that you have built up over time through the many different forms that you have lived through and died through. So whatever you accumulated on your mind right now, that's basically exactly what you have kind of built over time, and you're just continuing the cycle of destruction and creation. So right now in this lifetime, if you know damn well that there's certain things that are playing out like blockages that are stopping you from going forward to your goals, whether you don't have discipline, whether you don't have order in your life, whether you don't have focus, whether you don't got some of that pistis, that pytho, that pistuo, you know what I'm saying, some of that faith, the real good faith, you know what I'm saying, real good ninth house, real good Sagittarius, real good muscular system expansion that play out mentally, so you can go out and expand and travel with your mind. But it also play out in the third dimension, like you traveling physically, because then you learn that common sense is basically not even so fucking common. Because if you live in America and Canada, for example, let's say, and you take your common sense to Japan, nigga, you will see so quick that common sense ain't the fucking common whatsoever. So whatever you built upon your mind right now, that is exactly the mental form that you've created. And we are co-creators with God, and as long as you understand what you're doing with the cycle of night and day, you can participate in the creation. But right now we're underneath this Saturn moon matrix structure. So again, like basically it's like the five-headed dragon: business, infrastructure, entertainment, politics. I forgot what the fifth one was. But all these things is already pre-controlled by a soul group that is already pre-established its footholdings in this dimension. So when you see companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, all these things, it's just owned by them. But really, behind closed doors, really be occultists and things like that. But the question is, how do they do it, and how do they get to that level? See, they understand that thoughts and feelings are just things. Now, these are actual living entities. Those are actual manifestations of spirits. Those are actual manifestations of a will of an observer. Because if you're not observing that form in the first place, you won't even come to life. And when I say observing, I mean just paying attention to something. For example, let's say your mom and dad, they did you wrong when you was a kid, or you perceived like they did you wrong when you was a kid. If you pay that attention as the observer, that bubble of hate, anger, wrath, worry, doubt, fear, whatever emotions you put on that, or it might be gratitude, love, joy, and peace, that's going to begin to expand into a bigger cycle until it plays out externally. And it's going to play out externally like in body languages, in verbal usage of certain words that you might tell your parents certain things, but it's all playing out that mentality that you've been observing. So the mind is just a form that we create. This whole body is a form that we create. Down to even these features and things like that. Your looks and all that. You constructed all this. Like when your mom and dad fucked, you was the spirit observing that happening, and you was trying to bring these two together so you can equalize the fire and water in both of them, and you can create a body for yourself to come into this dimension. And based on you being the wisest, most expansive, most knowing spirit in the sperm race and all that, in this universal battle, all these spirits decided to follow you and kind of be your cast, be your characters. Like your heart chakra, that's a separate character. Your heart, that's a whole planet, that's a whole being on its own. Your head, that's a whole planet, that's a whole being on its own. But we don't have to think about breathing. We don't have to worry about breathing. It's just some shit that's already preordained, pre-established as far as the order of things. Because really, you just created a mimic body. This is just a mimic body of what's going on as above, so below. So as the celestial wheel, as we go around in the ecliptic, we're gathering these, attributes and characteristics so we can beef up our spaceships, so we can beef up our mental form. And if you're not doing the work, if you're not doing the shadow work to let go of those old things so you can create something new, then you're not going to find yourself expanding and contracting and gaining abilities and gaining talents and skills and shining and things like that. Because we are all the shining ones. We're all shining. Because everybody got to shine. We just got a different type of shine. Some people emit more of the solar plexus energy. Some people emit more of the moon chakra, but really we're all just a mix of those things, and we all have access to those things. But it just might be more on a percentage level when it comes to certain attributes and characteristics, like the sun, vitality, willpower, and things like that. You might play out an avatar, a manifestation of your mind that plays out through a body with an increased amount of willpower. Like, you just don't give a fuck. You're like, yep, my ability, my superpower is never giving up. That's like an anime character. Let's say like Asta in Black Clover. His idea is never ever give up. So that can play out as like an Aries, as a first house character, or somebody who has a lot of the fifth house attributes and characteristics, because those people are going to play out the fire element, and they're just going to see how they see this, and you're going to see things however they want to see things, and you ain't going to be able to get them out of how they see things. You're just going to have to let that person be them and do you, and that person may slowly come along based on the results that you're generating, because at the end of the day, if you're working with God, you're going to have all types of fruits, all types of results, all types of thoughts and feelings, all types of things you could share. You're not just broke. No, you're so abundant that you got enough for you, and you have enough for everybody else. So make sure that you construct a mental form that's expansive, not some shit that's restricted. Because I know, for example, like if you're in Islam or Christianity, if you come from a religious background like me, you may create a mental form that's so small. Because you gotta understand, like, a lot of these religions is created by occultists, it's created by astronomers, it's created by astrologers, it's created by people who understand what's going on, eighth house, behind closed doors, switching up intentions, Scorpio energy, stinging you if you try to get away type of shit. But you see, let's say, for example, in Christianity or any type of cult, let's say, this is a cult somewhere in the desert, I don't know, you can't leave because they're going to shame you, they're going to guilt trip you, they're going to blackmail you, which basically just means to take a very heavy emotion. Cancers are really good at this. They might take their emotions, and they might try to get you to feel how they feel, just based on that being their modality, because they're caught in the water. They like to initiate their ways of feeling, and they like to feel like they're at home. They like to feel like this is their family. So a Cancer might tell you like, oh, nah, bro, you're not my ride or die. Like, I can't really hang out with you because you don't really feel the way I feel. You don't really see the meaning and reason. And they might try to even force their feelings on you. And that goes for all the cardinal signs. That goes for Aries. That goes for Capricorn. That goes for, Cancer. That goes for Libra. All of them do the same thing, just in a different element and, in a different axis of, reality and things like that. So understand those energies, understand what's going on. The people around you that are playing out these mental forms and things like that, that's actually an opportunity for you to see how that energy plays out. And you can take that energy and apply it in your life, and you'll see how you reap from it. So that's how you look at the world around you, because everything around you is an attribute and characteristic. Like, if you're a shaman, you understand what I'm talking about, because you understand that trees have an attribute and characteristic. You understand that the sun has an attribute and characteristic. You understand that the moon has an attribute and characteristic. You understand that everything has an attribute and characteristic, even down to even the computers that we make. That's like a whole computing system. Where do you think they got the idea from? They got the idea from you. Ain't nothing new on the earth. We're just recreating replicas of what already exists. Like, we took the abundance that trees produce as far as leaves, wood, and we started cutting that and making money out of that, making paper out of that, just off of the speculative idea of growth, as far as the speculative idea of abundance from the trees. Because around Taurus season, in most geographical locations, that's when the leaves start to come out. After Aries, after the beginning of spring, the leaves start to come out, the fruits start to come out, and we start to cut these things into like things that we can use for, like boats, for example, houses, all types of things. So we create abundance from these trees. So someone just took that, some shaman back in the day, some occultists took that, and they still part of the system till today. I'm gonna find that motherfucker and see what's good to them. Hook me up with y'all Federal Reserve System. But point being is, it's the same speculative idea. It's all really the same shit. All they did was just take that energy and make it look different. So now, instead of you being fixated and being stubborn on your own ways of being practical and gaining value and appreciation, they took that energy that you can just get from nature, because nature is already abundant and we're already abundant, and we're just looking at our outer attributes and characteristics that we co-created with God. They took that and re-engineered it, reshaped it, used the principle of destruction and creation, and they took your perception out of that and made you think like, yeah, here you got to trade these paper notes, and we're gonna take the stuff that has the real value, the gold, the silver, and things like that, the precious metals, and put that in our banks and things like that. So that's what I mean when I say like have an expansive mind, because this way you can, no matter what person is in front of you, whether they Mexican, Asian, whatever, you're still gonna be so expansive in your mind. You're gonna have a mental form that's gonna be able to communicate with them what's going on, no matter what geographical location they come from, no matter what type of common sense that is only common to their senses, based on however they grew up and developed, based on their living circumstance, their living conditions, how their family raised them, and all these different things. So always aim at creating a mental form that is not limited. Create a mental form that is expansive. This way God can give you attributes and characteristics so you can go about your purpose, so you can go about your mission. This way you can be an artist, you can be a singer, you can do all these things at once. But at the same time though, because based on how the world works, you might not necessarily want to do all these things. You might just want to create a niche for yourself and be the only person that's good at that small detail, because that's the pattern I'm noticing when it comes to all these what's it called, billionaires and billionaires and things like that, or just the people that are coming up to be successful. It's like they're good at this one small thing, and they take that and they go on to make millions of dollars from that one thing. But you don't necessarily got to do that. That's just the pattern of the world. Again, you're to create and establish, and you already have your own pattern given to you by God. But you have to get in touch and in tune back with that. And once you get in tune and in touch back with that, you can start to create a much more expansive mind. Because now you understand your own relative position within the space and time continuum. You understand what star system you actually come from. You start to understand these things, and you start to do the attributes and characteristics of these things, because you're already doing it, but based on a lot of it being low-hanging fruit. So it's just another way to say that we don't really understand what goes on in the world type of shit. We don't really understand the universe. We don't really understand how to destroy and how to create. We just think like we just become retrobates minds, follower minds, slave minds, and not knowing that we are actually the gold minds. Because really all the Shadow Guardians are doing, they know how to shape metals, how to construct things and shit like that. But a lot of people get certain gifts, certain artifacts incarnate within certain people within periods of time, and everybody got a gift, everybody got an artifact and things like that. But they be peeping game, like I said earlier. Remember how I said, let's say you got a Cancer or a Leo in front of you, you can look at that, how that person, how that observer in that mind, in that body, is creating that experience, whether they're initiating their emotions, or whether they're being fixated on their own visions, or they're being mutable and adaptable when it comes to ways of practicality and seeing things from other people's perspective. That's usually a mutable trait, because that's how you be adaptable to other people and places and things and shit like that. You can all they do is observe that and then try to give that ability to one of their puppets, and then you might be like, wait, hold on, I was doing that. Like this probably happened a lot with celebrities and shit like that. They'd be like, wait, hold on, how come the whole industry is copying me now? Yeah, because it's like you created a new sound. If you're a musician, it's like you just created a new sound, a new verb, a new way of communicating. And it's like they peeped game already, because a lot of these managers at these corporate companies, when it comes to running the music industry and things like that, is really just cousins of Masons and things like that. So they know the game, and they've been put in those positions to control the game and shit like that. So don't get played by the game. Understand the game. Understand what's going on in life. Because the sooner you understand what's going on in life, like how this is a dog-eat-dog world, you'll be able to set yourself up to be ahead of everything. Not from the perspective of, you gotta cut off your friends. Not from the perspective of you gotta start stabbing people in the back. Nah, understand that so that you don't disappoint yourself. You might be helping somebody, for example, trying to be quote-unquote good, but not understanding that everybody else is capable of evil. And if you're so good to a person, chances are they won't return that for you. This is why even a lot of nobility You hear some stories, for example, where the noble wife was feeding the poor, giving them food, sharing. She never saw herself as nobility, but a poor man stabs her, and kills her because yeah, you think you're being so good, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna get that back. That just means you might be playing out to be a fool. So be good to others, people, places, and things in the universe, but understand that things, people, places are capable of evil, and you shouldn't be too good to peep game off that evil. You should be aware that that shit exists, because that shit is aware of you. The question is your peeping game, or is the game peeping you? The real fucking shit.